Hey guys, it's Mike Harn with Anlon Construction. I'm sitting here having a conversation with one of our strong vendor partners, and we always like to introduce you to them. This is Alex with Imperial Cabinets and Millwork, a vendor for us who absolutely knocks it out of the park when it comes to cabinets. A ridiculously creative guy, a guy 100% solution oriented, and something where he's really able to stay up on what's happening in the market. So how you doing today, Alex?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm awesome. I just think it's great when we get a chance to kind of get people to kind of see behind the curtains of what it is we get to do. And so our goal is to be able to help break down this big, huge process of getting your home designed and built, and helping them kind of see how you work into that, how the teammates, can be a huge part of that. And I just think it's really, really important. How long have you been working in cabinets?
Oh, since I was probably 14. I used to help out in the shop. I'd go in after school, and that would be my summer job. That's kind of where I started. So I started working in the cabinet field, in the shop area, building basically the boxes, actually started with the toe kicks, I'd say. So I'm 33 now, so I would say a good, probably half of my life.
Isn't that crazy? I grew up, my dad was a heating contractor. My uncle was a roofer. You just kind of get comfortable around the jobs. And I don't know, you can tell me if you agree with this, but I think that starting at the bottom, really, like you said, building toe kicks, it's amazing how at the time it didn't feel like it was really grooming you for what you do today. But
it wasn't.
Some level of respect for what those guys have to do.
Yeah. It's true. At that time, when I would be building the kicks, it'd be kind of like, oh man, this seems like a easy job. I don't know if I'm ever going to get anywhere in life, but hey, I preferred building kicks than working at a fast food restaurant. So I was like, hey, this was good. And then after, in the summertime, as month 2 went by, I was putting my all into building them kicks. At that time, I was working for a different shop. It was Armin Johnson Cabinets at the time, actually. And he would constantly be like, oh, hey, you're doing really good with that. Next position, start building cabinets, and so on and so forth. So then I'm like, oh, wait, I can grow in this. This is good. I enjoy it. I don't mind it at all. And then, that's what got me through all the fields. And then I have an uncle that owns Imperial Cabinets now. And I was able to, he was able to take me on and working for him. And that's when it all took off. So I had to work at Imperial for a little while, again, until I get all the trades down. And so I was very much hands-on. So that helps a ton when you're working with clients, when they have questions about if something will work, if something wouldn't work.
So in talking about the clients, like for us as a custom home builder, our process, right? We come in, we're drawing the plans, we're then giving them an allowance of money to spend with you, right? And we've done that based on, working with you in the past, having a pretty good idea of what we want to do. What is the best way to prepare that client for that meeting? So let's pretend they're our client, or there's someone else who just sees this, knows you guys are awesome. How can they be the most educated, come in the door and get the best bang for their buck out of the meeting? I know you're going to give them their buck out of the meeting.
So what helps is for a customer to at least somewhat know what they like. It helps when customers view pictures on either Houzz or Pinterest. They have an idea of what they're after. It also helps when they bring those pictures with them. That way they'd be like, hey, these are my inspirational photos. This is what I really like. This is what I want to see in my house. And then what happens is once I see what they're after, one is I won't show them in the showroom something. Let's say if their style is contemporary, I'm not going to be showing them the ultra traditional style because they're going to be completely pushed away from that. So my goal is to understand what the client really wants, what they like. And the more prepared they are, either with photos or printed pictures or whatever it is, and at least knowing roughly what they're after, it helps me put that package together much faster. And it's much more helpful for them as well, because then now I know I don't have to ask too many questions into certain directions, kind of like, hey, So what style are you after? I can clearly see by the photo. And sometimes customers have a hard time explaining what they like. And so a picture helps a ton to get us into that right direction.
Yeah, we find that oftentimes when we're designing a house from scratch, we're getting someone who says, I love this master bathroom, but I hate the rest of the house. I love this kitchen, but I hate the rest of the house. I like how this one looks. And so having Pinterest, House, these places where people can really showcase what it is they like, I think has really, really changed the game for us. And then nowadays for you, what I love is your ability to work on an iPad. So you're creating these drawings from it, and you literally, when you're meeting with them, are modifying them on the fly once you've had a chance to do that initial drawing. And it's pretty amazing to see how that impacts their decision. I mean, people are able to adjust their cabinets down to the smallest dimension instead of having to go, this is the only box size you have, and we're going to fill it in with wood, and there's nothing you can do with it. That's where
that's correct.
Custom cabinet shop like you guys has such a huge advantage. What are you seeing in the market, in the industry in general, whether it's stylistically or whether it is, kind of options that you're seeing people come up with? Where are you seeing things going?
So I know transitional has been the trend for a little while. It still is very much. I know a lot, the style that in the transitional style, I know white oak and the paint grade is very in right now. Cleaner lines, timeless, nothing too over the top, but at the same time, very functional. Now, the things that customers like the most that I noticed is different kind of rollouts and accessories. And it seems like a small thing, but just having a rollout in a cupboard when you open the doors is already an awesome thing to have. And mainly I get that from, I'd say, not the younger generation. I'd say probably the 40s and up, because they complain about getting onto their knees and getting back there behind the cabinet. So it's a simple thing, but they love those kind of accessories such as rollouts, drawers. In fact, I think more like pull-outs than the drawers, because it's a little bit more open. When you open the rollout out, you have a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more room to play with.
It's funny to talk about that. I think it's kind of like the first time you had power windows, or you first had the heated seats. Once you've had them, you will not go back. And so I can understand how that first-time home buyer doesn't necessarily know. But by the time you've had them once, you're going to absolutely make sure you have them in every house you ever have. And I think that your ability to showcase that, I mean, what I love is you're sending us out, not only the schematic drawings, you're also sending us out, a 3D rendering that people can see. And then you're also sending out the picture of that actual pullout or whatever that after, outside of the cabinet box product. I just think the presentation of it is so special. It makes something that, has however many pieces involved in it really, really manageable for the client. What do you think, specifically like with us, what can we do to help a client be more prepared? Like, I know every contractor we have says, I'd like to be involved earlier, right? And I'd like to have a larger budget. Those are the two things we hear, and I can understand that, right? But we're working with interior designers on all of our houses, and that, and our architects, and my fear becomes kind of too many chickens in the hen house. But bringing someone in too late is a problem as well.
That's correct.
So do you think, would we be best served prior to the client meeting with you, prior to signing off with the plans, maybe giving you a first pass at it to see where you see a problem? Because you have so much knowledge, because you guys have put in so many cabinets. I think that, I have no trouble letting the clients behind the curtains to see everything. We do everything open book, but I'd rather kind of have that conversation of, hey, these plans, you've got this 6-inch problem in this kitchen, potentially, prior to the client being nervous about it, because it might sound like a bigger deal to them. But should we be getting plans to you a little earlier?
Yes, it helps a ton. So a lot of the times I will make changes as I go. So I receive a set of plans. I start to render from it. There's dimensions there. I set my scale on the computer. I put up the walls. I can see right away, for instance, if in a kitchen where there's let's say the refrigerator panel goes, it needs to be a minimum of 26 to 28 inches deep, depending on the refrigerator size. And if I see that wall is only 24, well, I'm going to raise that question. I'm going to let you know that right away. And this helps because, hey, all we need to do is add a few studs there, and it's not a big deal. Well, for a client, when they see it, to them, it seems like a bigger issue than it really is. So yes, things like that, we can, it helps for us to have an advance, the plans. Not to mention, I also, the more in advance I have that, we are able to, let's say when the client does get on board, it helps for us to get things closer and closer to where we need to be, because I like to do a layout, which not a lot of shops like to do. I like to go on site. I like to staple the pictures and everything on the walls, the elevations. And again, I'd like to staple the most recent, most accurate ones. That way, if there's a change, it's more like a color or maybe a pullout added or whatnot, something small. But as long as the total layout doesn't change, and then I like to paint it on the floor. And when it's painted and you have that visual on site, well, one, it helps everybody. It helps you, it helps us. That way we can easily catch a wall if something is a little short, or for the plumber, electricians, everybody.
Yeah, it's so huge. I think that's, kind of the biggest thing that we try to do in general is, like you said, you painting out that floor helps 4 or 5 different trades. The more that we can collaborate, right. Our job as the general really is to conduct the circus. I mean, it's to try to make sure that everybody's able to work together. And, things come up. We're right now in Portland. There's a bunch of smoke that socked us all in. Right. Inevitably that's affecting our schedules, but as a company, my belief is that family is always first. People's health is going to come first. I hate when we miss a schedule. I mean, it really does bother me, but I would hate it even more if someone was getting sick. So I think that, that over the top communication, getting out in front. I mean, I love, you're copying me on the emails with the clients. I know we have a client right now in Happy Valley that you've been working a ton with. And I just love to see that cabinet layout come together and to listen to them describe how much you're taking every little inspiration they have in helps us, right? Because we're more than selling a house, we're selling an experience and a process, Right. At the end of it, we have all of these things that go in that are created by our valuable partners like yourself. But what we need is for them to enjoy it. And I think that you do a great job of that. I think the cabinets are just top shelf. There's no doubt about that. But what makes it special is your ability to convey that message to the client. And to us, by the way, the one challenge that we've had in the past with other people that we give allowances to is we just blow through that number. All of a sudden, the client doesn't realize that they're 20% over budget because they're just happy and excited. And I think you do a very good job of, one, if we send you an allowance that doesn't seem right, we have that conversation. If they come in and they're a person who is making decisions that are going to eventually put them over budget, we're having that conversation because there's just nothing worse than them being so excited to then be like, oh, you can't do that. Right. We certainly recognize the need to value engineer, but you do such a good job with that. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So.
Thank you, Mike. And the other thing that helps for us as well, we try to do is we try to sort out with every option. We try to have an estimate. So let's say we give you estimate option number 1. That would be usually when you just send us the set of plans, and that's where we're at, right? When a customer comes in or the client on board, we then make changes. After that change, I render the changes and we automatically reprice it again. That way, each option has a price attached to it. That way, we're not down to option 4 and then we're going, wait a second, where did all this extra money come from? Well, there's option 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you ever wanted to go to option 1, you certainly can, and that will fit your budget. But because of all these changes, and we can clearly track them, it helps a ton. Yeah. That way, we're not just surprising the client towards the end. Oh, hey, here's the overall number. It's changing as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think again, it always comes down to communication. Yeah. Do you guys? Are you guys working exclusively with builders and remodelers, or can the public come in and buy cabinets from you?
Very rarely do public come in and buy cabinets from us. It's mainly builders. We do offer that if somebody does. Now the rates are different for someone direct, obviously. The time frame is different, but it helps a ton. We always try to, if a client does come in and they want cabinets, we'll help them out. We try to direct them to a builder, because a lot of the times what happens is they'll come in, they'll order the cabinets, and then they're asking us, and they're essentially, we become their builder, because they have all these millions of questions. Oh, hey, do you have an electrician? Do you know this? Do you know that? What do I have to do here? It's like, you're better off hiring a builder that knows what they're doing. Your process would have went so much faster and helps. I always recommend to everybody out there, if you're remodeling your kitchen or bathroom, just hire a builder. He knows exactly what he's doing. He will know, he has a good team put together. You're not going to hire a good cabinet guy and then a bad electrician.
Absolutely.
That's what makes Anlon good, is the team, everybody that works for you. And, it's been a pleasure to work with everybody.
Yeah, thank you. We really, really do value that team. I think it's, it's the biggest thing to work on, and that comes from consistency. And you talked about that, like when clients are trying to do it on their own, especially right now, you look at the fact that things are being rescheduled because of this smoke. Well, we've got these relationships 5, 7, 10 years where we know it's coming, right? We just got to get out in front of it. So for the builder or the remodeler that hasn't heard of you, how do they best find you? They can certainly call me. I'll tell them everything about you, as long as it's busy for us. But but how does someone reach out to you guys and find you guys?
A lot of the times, I'd say most of the time, it's word of mouth. If they were to call you, or you have a friend that also builds, and they would ask you, who's your cabinet guy? Sure. That's how we get a lot of our builders. And again, because Imperial's been around for a little while now, since 2002, 2003, roughly. So a little while. And the other way is through internet. They would Google, Oregon City cabinet shop, and that's where we would pop up. So, but majority of the time, I'd say word of mouth. That's
what is the website?
ImperialCabinets.net.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, and if you're watching this, I'm happy to talk to you about it. This is a vendor that for us literally makes our life easier. And Alex I don't worry about needing to be at every meeting that he's at. I know he's going to represent our company well, as long as his own, and as well as his own. And that's just a really, really big piece to have, as you kind of work through that. So if we can help you guys in building a house, if we can help you guys help find a cabinet shop for you, obviously we have a great one here, but please don't hesitate to reach out. We appreciate you guys very much. Thank you.